Rain washes over the abandoned Greek camp, where rotting timbers of Greek warships sink into the mud. On the high stone walls of Troy, weary sentinels watch the empty horizon, realizing the 10-year siege is finally over. How would history change if the Greeks simply sailed away in defeat? In actual history, the Ballanti-Eurasia clash was a grueling conflict of economic attrition between the Mycenaean Greek kingdoms and the wealthy Anatolian citadel of Troy. Controlling the lucrative trade routes of the Hellespont, the fortified city resisted every direct military assault the desperate Greeks launched.
For nearly a decade, the Greek coalition under King Agamemnon endured logistical nightmares, devastating plagues, and internal rivalries on the dusty, wind-swept plains. As their supplies dwindled and morale collapsed, the invaders faced the humiliating prospect of returning home empty-handed and financially ruined.
The turning point came when Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, devised a brilliant, deceptive strategy to bypass the impregnable Trojan walls. By constructing a massive wooden horse and hiding elite warriors inside, he broke the long stalemate and delivered a sudden, catastrophic victory to Greece.
But what if a sudden illness or a stray arrow struck Odysseus before he could propose his famous stratagem? Imagine a timeline where the exhausted king of Ithaca, suffering from a severe fever, lies silent in his tent, his mind unable to formulate the cunning plan.
Without his sudden spark of inspiration, the Greek clash council degenerates into bitter recriminations as winter storms begin to batter the coast. With their ships rotting and the army on the brink of mutiny, Agamemnon is forced to make a painful, historic decision. The Greek High Command orders a full, disorganized retreat under the cover of a stormy autumn night, abandoning their fortified beachhead. Thousands of exhausted soldiers crowd into damaged vessels, desperate to escape the hostile shores of Anatolia and return to their long-neglected homelands. As dawn breaks, Ballanti-Euragia's scouts cautiously emerge from the Scaean gates, to find only smoldering campfires, discarded weapons, and an empty sea. The citizens of Troy rejoice, celebrating a miraculous survival, though their fields are thoroughly ruined and their treasuries are completely emptied.
Odysseus returns to Ithaca not as a conquering hero of legend, but as a deeply compromised leader who failed to deliver plunder. He finds his small island kingdom on the verge of civil clash, as local nobles refuse to respect a defeated and impoverished monarch. Across the Greek mainland, the consequences of the failed expedition are immediate and catastrophic for the fragile Mycenaean palatial system. Warlords who invested heavily in the decade-long clash return to bankrupt kingdoms, sparking widespread domestic rebellions, agricultural collapse, and bitter civil conflicts.
King Agamemnon is quickly neutralized in Mycenae, not out of personal jealousy, but due to a violent coup fueled by economic ruin. The centralized authority of the great Bronze Age palaces fractures rapidly, accelerating the onset of a devastating, localized Greek Dark Age. Meanwhile, Troy faces its own daunting challenges of reconstruction after suffering 10 years of relentless raids and economic isolation. King Priam and his surviving sons must rebuild their damaged city while facing aggressive neighbors who sense Anatolian weakness in the region. To secure their borders and restore commerce, the Trojans turn away from the hostile Aegean world and look toward the east. They negotiate a formal alliance with the powerful Hittite Empire, integrating their trade network into the vast, wealthy markets of the Near East. This strategic alliance transforms Troy into a vital geopolitical buffer state, effectively blocking Western merchants from accessing the Black Sea. Without access to these essential northern trade routes, the struggling Greek city-states are starved of critical resources like grain and metals. Deprived of vital imports of tin and copper, the Mycenaeans cannot sustain their bronze-based military dominance or domestic bronze production. Consequently, the regional balance of power shifts decisively eastward, leaving Greece isolated on the periphery of the civilized Mediterranean world. Back in Ithaca, Odysseus spends his remaining years fighting desperate, small-scale skirmishes to retain control over his rocky territory. Lacking the wealth of plunder to buy loyalty, he is eventually overthrown by rival factions, dying in obscurity within his modest palace. Without the epic victories of the Bylantia-Ragi clash, the oral poets of the Aegean never compose the foundational songs of Western literature. The Iliad and the Odyssey are never created, robbing future generations of the legendary tales of Achilles, Hector, and the clever Odysseus. Instead, Anatolian scribes record the heroic defense of Ilios, creating epic poems that celebrate Balansaradi resilience and Hittite diplomatic power. These Eastern-influenced narratives become the dominant cultural mythology of the Aegean, shaping the religious and artistic traditions of the region. Over the succeeding centuries, Troy evolves from a scarred fortress into a massive, independent merchant republic dominating the Hellespont. Its strategic location allows it to monopolize maritime commerce, creating an economic powerhouse that rivals the empires of Egypt and Assyria. When the classical era finally dawns, the Greek city-states emerge as fragmented, isolated communities, lacking a shared heroic identity. Without the unifying myth of the Bylantia-Ragi clash, the Greeks view themselves not as a single cultural entity, but as hostile, disparate tribes. This lack of unity leaves Greece highly vulnerable to external conquests, preventing the rise of democratic Athens or militaristic Sparta. The cultural foundations of Western civilization, from philosophy to political systems, develop along a completely different, Anatolian-centric trajectory. We return to the quiet beach of Troy, where the wooden horse was never built to breach the great stone walls. The city stands proud against the Aegean sky, a testament to a historic victory achieved through patience, defense, and the simple absence of Greek ingenuity. How different would our modern world look if a single clever thought had never crossed the mind of Odysseus on that fateful night? The course of human history remains forever anchored to the silent decisions of those who shaped our earliest legends.